Everyone, it's time for another live look at the astrology. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is your look at the astrology for January 27th through February 2nd, 2025. Yes, we are almost to February. I know that January has felt like an age, yet nevertheless, we are almost to February. So, as always, do say hello. It's nice to see where people are watching from. How are you all doing? I realize we are in Aquarius season plus Pluto. So we're in a new time, a new era, something that I have been talking about off and on for the past couple of years. And now Pluto is in Aquarius, where it will be for quite a while. And we had that Sun Pluto conjunction last week. And I actually wrote about this in my newsletter. It's just sort of this reminder, and this is how we can put astrology into action. Not Aquarius, Pluto is part of a cohort of what are called evolutionary planets. Their job is to get us to grow and evolve by any means possible. Of course, that statement is collective, it's also personal, and how we can sit with what Pluto is trying to reveal to us within, because Pluto reveals the unconscious. And even though last week's Sun Pluto conjunction is behind us, in a way, it comes forward with this week's. There's going to be an Aquarius new moon on, I almost said August, on January 29th so Wednesday. We're going to have an Aquarius new moon. And so we have the energies of Pluto with us in this Aquarius new moon stage. So yes, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Katie Sweetman, and I'm an astrologer and psychic medium located here presently in the rolling hills of central Maryland. And boy, has it been cold the past couple of weeks. And every week we gather live to go over the astrology. You hear me say every week the astrology is 50%, you are the other 50%. Sometimes we think of astrology as sort of this like, well, just tell me what's going to happen. I don't know. Astrology is not an absolute. We have to remember that we are participatory, that there's always different options. Of course, we are learning, we are growing, we are evolving, and so we feel this even more when we have these sort of big transits, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and you know what? In a way, we kind of have all those things this week. So first, let's start with the new moon. What is a new moon? A new moon, quite simply, is that the sun and the moon are in the same place. Remember, astrology is first astronomy. But what that does symbolically is that it creates a new stage and setting for us to live through for the next 4 weeks. That is a lunar month. As an aside, I realize that Wednesday is also the start of the Lunar New Year for those that celebrate. So it's Chinese New Year, but there's other places that also are other places in the world and other cultures that celebrate Lunar New Year. But that said, this new moon, or any new moon, it creates a stage and setting for us. Over 4 weeks, we live through the lens and the archetypical lens of that sign. So as you and I, as I record this, and perhaps you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, or maybe you're part of my Tuesday club, this new moon is bringing us forward from a new moon that we had on December 30th of 2024. So this was the Capricorn new moon that started us off the year. It had that really big and powerful opposition between Mars and Pluto. That's another conversation for another time. But I wanted to highlight that new moon because even though the sun has moved on to Aquarius, we've still been in this stage that was created by that Capricorn new moon on December 30th of 2024. Capricorn has been a time to look at structures, maturity, responsibility. Capricorn is one of the last signs of the zodiac. It's not the final sign of the zodiac, but it is what's called a cardinal sign. And it teaches us that life is about growing and maturing, that we need to continue to step into greater roles, to set a higher bar for ourselves. That's why we make resolutions typically around the beginning of the year. It's Capricorn season. And there is that sense of like commitment with Capricorn. So we've all lived through this lens over the last 4 weeks in our own way. Because we have, number one, our own relationship with Capricorn. Capricorn might be our rising sign. It might we might have plans in Capricorn. Maybe we're born in 1989. We have Saturn in Capricorn. That just threw that out of thin air. But we all have a relationship with Saturn. How do we show up? How do we honor time? How do we honor our commitments? Do we hold true to our word? Are we responsible? Can people rely on us? Do we set healthy boundaries? Do we know when to say no and know when to say yes? Of course, these are general themes that maybe have woven their way through our experiences over the last 4 weeks. Capricorn is life, the milestones of life, sometimes capital L life. And so here we are in the what's called the dark of the moon. It is the last couple of days before the new moon. It's typically a time when we rest, we reflect, we go back. In this case, we go back to our lived experiences since that December 30th Capricorn new moon. What have we learned? What do we take with us? What do we integrate? What do we leave behind? And then on Wednesday, January 29th, we're going to have an Aquarius new moon. So that stage and that setting shifts, and now we will live through the lens of Aquarius for the next 4 weeks. Well, what's Aquarius? Aquarius is the second to last zodiac sign. Keep in mind that even though we started the year January 1, the astrological year doesn't start until the sun goes into Aries. So that will be around the 19th or 20th or 21st of March. It changes each year. So when we reach the end of the zodiac, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and even Pisces, we're outside of the personal. We're looking towards the world. We're thinking about big things. We're getting into existential questions. We're looking at the structures of our life. Now, Capricorn is physical. It's what's called an earth sign. Earth is tangible, as you can imagine. But Aquarius is an air sign. I know sometimes people think it's a water sign, but like, wait a second, is it the water bearer? It's an air sign. The air element is about exchange, information, ideas, networks, and systems. And a little bit different than we typically think about Aquarius. Yes, Aquarius has a little bit of a forward future looking facet within its archetypical expression. And Aquarius talks about the systems of our lives. What does that mean? Well, everything has systems. Your body has systems. It has a circulatory system, skeletal system. It has a respiratory, immune. I could keep going on. Your life has systems. These are pathways for things to flow. These are things that you have built based on beliefs. These could be old past patterns. These create systems. You can't typically see these systems until they break down. Your system, it needs a sense of flow in your life. And even if I kept zooming out a little bit more, at the exact moment that you're born, there's a chart that's created. There's a snapshot of the heavens at the moment that you're born. It shows the sky both above and below the horizon. It is what's called your natal chart. It is a system. It is a symbolic system for your life. It shows how time and your life expresses itself. May it be long. And the idea that this system isn't rigid, it grows, it flows, it can sometimes stop. So part of my job sometimes is to be a little bit of an engineer with people to sort of see how do we get the system flowing in this body, because this chart in a way is a body. It is a symbolic body of your life. If you could sort of see things from a higher perspective, your chart becomes like this space. It's an entity. It contains lived experience. It contains information. And this is all about your life. And so when we get to Aquarius season, yes, we're getting into these very big and abstract, sort of ideas about not just groups and friends and community, but even bigger and more abstract than that. When I think of Aquarius, I always think of as above, so below, as within, so without. That's something that you hear very often in astrology, this idea that the heavens are a mirror for what's happening on Earth, and that our systems within can also mirror the systems that are around us, and vice versa. That's why feng shui tries to create different flows of energy. For example, that's why we want to manifest. We want to create something new. We use the new moon to manifest, maybe you don't. But this idea that we work within our systems to create something new, to create new flow. So it's just a different take on Aquarius, certainly a different take on this Aquarius new moon. How can you see your life as something greater, as a body, as a system? And that system, and I would argue just from the perspective of astrology, has its own needs and its own wants, kind of like your body has its own needs and its own wants. It needs to be nourished. It needs to be fulfilled. It needs to feel like it has a sense of movement and flow. So, for example, a new moon is always a great time to reset, recalibrate. And I think that's something that's even a theme that's in this new moon, because it has, one, it's a new moon. Number two, it's about systems and sort of the greater body of our lives. And then, of course, we could look at that from a larger perspective: community, society, humanity, nations, the world, the planet, the solar system, the galaxy. But we can also look how this new moon with number 3, Saturn is what's called the ruler of this new moon. So the energy of the new moon points over towards Pisces. Pisces, last sign of the zodiac. My joke about Aquarius is that it's not the finality of the zodiac, which means intellect, information, ideas, and systems are not the finality of the zodiac. Pisces is emotions, compassion, feeling, depth, understanding, and meaning, and even spirituality. And so there is this interesting interplay with this new moon, because it's both about systems, but then it gets into these bigger questions. What are we filling and nourishing the systems of our life, the body of our life with? I realize these are big questions, so I don't have answers right now, but Aquarius and certainly Pisces are big signs. Pisces gets into these bigger existential questions. Why am I here? What is this all for? What is the meaning and purpose of my life? How can I, in the case of, let's say, the North Node, because North Node's now in Pisces, South Node's now in Virgo, how can I help? How can I be of service? How can I heal? And of course, you're the only person who can answer those questions. So with the new moon pointing over towards Pisces, there is an emotional element to it. Aquarius is subjective. It's rational, it's analytical, everything adds up on paper. Pisces is magical. It's dreamy, it's intuitive, it's subjective. And so there's this idea of looking at these sort of very two different areas of our life. But Pisces is about the substance that fills our life. So it's a lunar month where we have these sort of big questions that we're really trying to figure out. And then to go back to that comment about a new moon, how we have this, always have an opportunity with a new moon. But I think that because we have Saturn highlighted, it is Aquarius is Saturn ruled in the traditional system, we can always recalibrate. So maybe we look at the next 4 weeks as some sort of recalibration for our lives. Maybe it's to align ourselves more towards the things that we feel are actually going to feed us, to nourish our life, to nourish our spirit, nourish our soul, for example. Maybe we need to recalibrate where we're organizing and putting our priorities. Who knows? You're your own person. And the other thing is that because Pluto is in Aquarius, again, the new moon brings the energy of the Sun-Pluto conjunction forward into the next 4 weeks. Pluto talks about the stripping down and even the personal alchemy of the things that are not potentially not working in our lives. And the beauty, and sometimes not the easy side of Pluto, it is to follow Pluto. It is to go into your underworld, not get stuck, but go into your underworld, which means to listen to your intuition. What is Pluto trying to reveal to you? Because something may emerge from your unconscious with this new moon and this new moon period. And that's part of our work, at least I believe, part of our work as humans. It is to reveal the unconscious so that we can put the light there. And that's the deeper alchemy. And I think that that's part of that Aquarius and that Pisces connection with this new moon. I said this, I think, last week, but that Sun-Pluto conjunction that we had is the first of 18. I know, 18 conjunctions. That's what take us into the 2040s. We are again in a new era. It is to find hopefully our agency, our desire, our want. Mars is retrograde right now. So it's to really, again, continue to reevaluate what lights us up, what gives us joy, where do we feel, sort of motivated and driven to go towards. Maybe the answers aren't 100% clear. Mars is retrograde until the end of February. Then also this week on the, I think it's the 31st. No, it's the 30th of January. Uranus turns direct. So this is actually one of the last times that Uranus will turn direct in Taurus. It has been unfolding in Taurus. In January, Uranus direct over the last 6 years. Uranus direct in Taurus, we're beginning to bring this chapter to a close. You've heard me talk periodically, but Uranus has been in Taurus since May 2018 and March of 2019. And, we've all lived the last 6 years differently. Certainly it is a very interesting time when we go back and we look. If you are a Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because life may look different now than it did at the start of 2018. I don't know, maybe it's different. But for me, and the Uranus turns direct at 23 Taurus. My Scorpio sun is at 24 Scorpio. So I'm getting the opposition right now, but lordy. But this is where you can use the planets. Of course, we can't, we're not bigger than the planets, but it's to really work with these energies consciously. At least I try. But for the rest of us, what this means this week is that hopefully we can start to see some of the dots and some of the changes and some of that thread that's been weaving through the Taurus part of our life. I know you might be thinking, Katie, I'm not a Taurus. I don't have anything in Taurus. Taurus forms a particular part of your astrology. It could be career, it could be relationships, it could be your sun sign. But that area has had to grow and evolve over the last 6 years. And so what we value, what we own, what we think we need, our relationship with our bodies, for example, might look very differently than it did in 2018 and even 2019. So Uranus is the Great Awakener. So we've got that energy in the astrology of this week. So perhaps a new moon of awakenings, perhaps a new moon of deeper existential questions, perhaps a new moon that's leading us into ourselves so that we can see something about ourselves. And through that, we have power, we have alchemy, we have spiritual alchemy, and that we can bring light to something within that typically we cannot see. That's the thing about the unconscious, is that we don't see it. It typically reveals itself in our emotional responses. And that's where we have to listen and be an observer. We're like, wait a second, why am I feeling this way? What's coming? Where's this truly coming from? And that's where Pluto can lead us into very deep spaces so that we can, again, make that transformation. Also this week, Venus, which is in Pisces, Venus is in the sign of its exaltation. It loves being in Pisces. Curiously, it's beginning to meet up with the North Node and Neptune by this weekend. So we actually, not on the weekend, but we get to after the new moon on Wednesday, we get to a moon in Pisces. So it's Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday, really feeling that moon in Pisces. Venus is what we love. It's what we value. It's what we invest time and money in. It's relationships. It's both a relational planet. It's also a planet about money, income, property, and in our material lives. But in Pisces, it values something that is intangible. It's not material. It's spiritual, perhaps, or it's about really trying to find a deeper emotional connection with people, and perhaps even acts of unconditional love. Venus in Pisces is also, there's a value around beauty, ethereal beauty, creating beauty. We live all these energies, of course, very differently. And then Venus meets up with the North Node and Neptune. And Neptune's always an interesting, why I said earlier, like, it seems like we have all the outer planets doing something this week, because Neptune dissolves the boundaries between our physical plane and our non-physical plane. It can bring up a lot of emotions. So really, that's the other thing about listening and sitting with yourself and observing, because Neptune might be bringing up a lot of emotions this week and even into next week, because I think the conjunction to the North Node is on the 7th. I might be wrong about that. Can't remember off the top of my head. But the North Node talks about this collective direction. Something is opening up. Something is trying to get something to reveal itself to us, to pull back the veil, so to speak. So give Neptune a grounding. I'm saying this, the South Node's in Virgo right now. Just because the North Node's in with Neptune doesn't mean we need to completely lose our grounding. Meditate, but create structure. Give yourself time. Set the timer on your phone for 10 minutes to sort of create that sacred space, to find something within. And that also would make Saturn happy, because Saturn loves dedication, it loves commitment, it loves putting time into something. And Saturn's been in Pisces since March of 2023. Our time has needed to go towards Pisces. Bigger conversation for another time. And so with Venus conjunct Neptune, there might be something about relationships with the North Node. There might be something about relationships this weekend going into the beginning of next week. Maybe, fated encounters. I know that sounds a bit like, ooh. But, sometimes we meet people who have an effect on us, who get us to see things differently, that might feel like they're, leading us in a different direction. Venus is, again, very relational planet. Maybe it is to make space for beauty. Maybe it is to make space for the things that actually, metaphorically speaking, fill your cup, especially in the times that we're in. So we'll kind of touch back more on the North Node in Pisces next week. Certainly the new moon gives us a lot to go over. And where is this, of course, unfolding in your own astrology? What sort of page is being turned based on your sun sign or your rising sign this week? And of course, this takes us into the next 4 weeks. Before I forget, speaking of systems, I am actually teaching a free 1-hour webinar on Wednesday. This is January 29th, same day as a new moon at 8 p.m. Eastern. It is recorded, but it is an introduction to energetic sciences, which is a study of energy, both tangible but also subtle energies, and even the invisible threads that are between us. This invisible, it's called the sixth element, the weft, which is the support of life, and it's the support of communication. And so this presentation is meant to kind of give you an introduction to sort of the more structure, the Virgo side of understanding about energy and even what's beyond this physical world. And then I have a level 1 weekend intensive, the weekend of February 8th and 9th, where we go deeper. We actually learn to feel the weft, to shift our consciousness. The weft is also support for the rise of consciousness and to open up to universal consciousness. So lots of things to cover in that weekend class. It's hosted by Mercia Academy. It's not my site, not my teaching, but something that I have the opportunity to teach and offer to you. I've been teaching it since 2018. So link is in the show notes, or you can go to my website, empoweringastrology.com. There's also a list of other events that are happening, and hope to see you at least on Wednesday so we can learn about these deeper topics. So having said all that, let's go through each of the 12 zodiac signs, and this is to sort of see, where is this new moon and even Pluto revealing itself in your life, but not just this next 4 weeks, but even beyond, because Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for a long time. And also listen for your rising sign. It's both, there you go. So let's start with Aries. Aries, Mars is your planet. It's still retrograde. It's not a fate. That's a thing every a couple of years. Mars turns retrograde, and this gives you an opportunity to rewind, to retrace your steps. And that's a tip when you're in Aries, when you're ruled by Mars. Typically, you lead with instinct. You go after what you want. You don't always think about it. Of course, you're all different people, but the idea of Mars retrograde is to shift the consciousness around that impulse, that desire, where you're leading yourself towards, and just to question and maybe see things from a little bit of a different perspective. Mars continues to be in your fourth sign of home and family. It is about the home, the household, whether that's literal, whether that's metaphoric, meaning where is home and who is home, finding that within or finding that all around you. Maybe you are moving, maybe you just need to put a lot of energy in your home and household, or family demands some attention. Or maybe it's more emotional. You really want to get cozy during this time. That said, this Aquarius new moon opens you up to something called your 11th sign. And the 11th sign is almost to the end of your personal astrology. It is about the groups that you're a part of. It is about that sense of community and social connection, your friends, but it even gets into bigger questions. How do you participate in the world? How do you either create community? Who are your friends, for example? And with the new moon pointing over towards Saturn and Pisces, where it has been since March of 2023, it may be bringing up some very deep and existential questions, because community is one thing, but is this community actually supporting you, nourishing you? Is it fulfilling you, for example? Maybe there's bigger questions about social issues and social causes. Again, we're all different people. And then there's Pluto. So Pluto, since 2023, has gone into your 11th, where it will be for the next 20 years. Yes, 20 years. And it is to sort of sit with what have been the themes coming up since last week, and that Sun-Pluto conjunction. But there is something that's very much about either community, the groups that you're involved with, your sort of connection to the world, the role that you want to play in the world. It's social issues, social causes that might be very focused over the next 4 weeks. And Pluto, being Pluto, is trying to reveal something to you. So it's just to sit with this energy, to listen for it, and to sort of see what is Pluto trying to show you, because Pluto has a mirror. Taurus, Venus is your planet, and it's still in Pisces, a sign that Venus loves to be in. So this has been a time to focus on what's called your 11th sign: friends, community, society, humanity, social issues, and social causes. Venus here loves to help, it loves to serve, it loves to get involved in its community. Maybe you've been volunteering, or maybe there's been an urge to be more a participant in a way that's more service and helping oriented. Maybe you're just dreaming about your future and the future that you want to create as you go into your new personal year. This will be, Venus will go into Aries. That's the thing. Venus, I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but Venus will turn retrograde. Goodness, I think it's April. And Venus will turn retrograde in Aries. So there's sort of spending the middle of the year really focusing on these sort of deeper questions, spirituality, like what's the meaning and purpose of things, resting and reflecting. We'll come back to this. So I think as you look ahead towards the future and sort of think about the future you want to create in 2025, just know that there's a lot of inner work and inner reflection that's part of the preparing for all that as we get into, February, March, April, and May and June. So that's Venus. Venus is meeting up with Neptune this week. It is meeting up with the North Node this week. You may feel very sensitive, especially with Venus conjunct Neptune. Channel that towards beauty, glamour, but I mean this in a way that feels very expressive, something that feels like it's nourishing something. Maybe it's acts of unconditional love and service to other people. Then there is this Aquarius new moon. This Aquarius new moon is not just the stage and setting for the next 4 weeks, but it brings the energy of Pluto into the mix. And Pluto is going to be in what's called your career sign, the 10th sign, for the next 20 years. I realize that is a huge amount of time, but this next 4 weeks is trying to give you a framework and a lens for this Pluto energy. Here's the thing. We all live Pluto very differently, just like we live power differently and we live ambition and our career very differently. Some of us, we're at the top of the top. Some of us are not. It's just is. It's not neither. One is not neither. Better than, for example. So listen for what Pluto is trying to reveal to you around power, around your career, around the role that you want to play in the world, or sort of the change that you want to make. Because for some Tauruses, it is the start of a career change or a shift in priorities. For some Tauruses, you are stepping into roles of power, and now you need to use power in a very particular way, and hopefully very productive and positive way. And for some Tauruses, it is to take that look into the mirror, like your relationship with power, your relationship with ambition, but everybody's different. So it's just, again, it's just to listen to it. There's no absolutes in astrology. Pluto just sort of gives us key phrases, and then they're meant to unlock something for you. Because the new moon points over towards your 11th, I think it's getting into sort of these bigger existential questions about your career, the role that you want to play in the world. It is in alignment with something greater, something that feels like it's fulfilling. But again, it's to use some of these key phrases that I'm giving you and sit with it, meditate on it, and feel what it unlocks for you. Gemini, Mercury is your planet, and it has just gone into Aquarius today, and now it's gearing up to make something called a conjunction to Pluto. So what's Aquarius for you? Aquarius is an air sign, just like you, and it's something called your 9th sign. The next couple of weeks, because Mercury is going to breeze through Aquarius, I think by the 14th of February, it's in Pisces, but I'll come back to that in a future broadcast. But the next couple of weeks, it's also a lens for Pluto's time in Aquarius. What do you believe in? What do you stand for? What do you think is true? How do you communicate? How do you tell your story? How do you use your power through your words, through your ideas? How do you use your power in of your beliefs? Every Gemini is going to live this differently. Pluto is for everybody, but in this case for you, it's holding a mirror to you. We all need to sit with Pluto right now and sort of listen, sense, feel, smell, whatever sense you want to open up to what Pluto is trying to reveal to you. Ideas have power, words have power, stories have power. How are you sharing something? What is the role of faith? I don't necessarily mean the faith of religion, but faith in something greater. How do you inspire? How do you motivate people? Is there something that you need to share? Of course, these are just questions that are meant for you to reflect on so that they can begin to open up in something with you. Mercury conjunct Pluto, and the conjunction is on the 29th, same day as the new moon. Typically, Mercury conjunct Pluto, it's very sharp. It sees things, it knows things. It can be like a laser-guided missile, metaphorically speaking, to get to the truth. So something may want to reveal itself to you. Again, listen, sense. Maybe there's this desire to share something, to say something, to write something, to teach something. Maybe you want to go back to school. Maybe you want to be a student. But again, it's to listen to what this time is trying to reveal itself for you. With the new moon pointing over towards your career sign of Pisces, there is this interwoven story around how you are living your wisdom, your knowledge, your faith, your truth, your convictions in your either your public life or your professional life. And sometimes there needs to be a recalibration, or sometimes this is your opportunity to really put something out there and sort of stand behind it, whatever, of course, is relevant in your own life. Leo. So the sun is your planet. So the sun has recently, I think last week, it went into Aquarius. And Aquarius for you, Leo, is something called your 7th sign of relationships. So this is the time of year where typically it's about other people. That's a really broad statement. It means it's a time to socialize. It's about your partnerships and your connection, not just romantic partnerships. Certainly an Aquarius new moon, which we have on the 29th, can mean that the next 4 weeks may bring somebody in. Or with an existing relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's not romantic, you need to focus on a particular relationship in your life. Do keep in mind that Pluto is now in your relationship sign. It will be there for quite some time, for 2 decades. Yes, you heard me correctly. So you are at the start of something. And I've been saying this to the other signs. It's not 100% clear. Why could it be? What Pluto is going to mean for you. It's the thing about astrology. It maddeningly makes more sense in hindsight. And so that's why I say listen and listen for what Pluto is trying to reveal to you, because Pluto, for some Leos, is the start of a complete transformation in how you connect, interact, socialize with people, how you do relationships. For some Leos, it's a gut transformation. For some Leos, it's calling the plumber. For some Leos, it's like, oh shoot, like that's why. Because that's the thing. Pluto is trying to reveal something that's typically hidden. There could be parts of us. It could be a positive part of us. Oh, I'm not creative. And then we keep attracting people in our lives that are the positive mirrors to the things that we won't accept about ourselves. So then there's the negative mirrors, but let's keep it friendly. So again, listen, this new moon does give you a reset with relationships, with connections. It does pull over because Saturn is in Pisces, themes around intimacy, vulnerability, trust, power, and control. It could get into monetary themes with a person, legacies, literal legacies, symbolic legacies, the legacies that you're leaving behind, but also a need to really get into some sort of deep material with somebody. I will also add that with Uranus turning direct this week, I'll think of on the 30th. On the 30th, it is we're beginning to come to the end of this 6-year chapter of changes in either your professional life or changes in your relationship with duties and responsibilities or your public life. So this Uranus turning direct is just something to pay attention to. How has there been shifts in your professional life, your career, your reputation, your public life? Because as we start to get to the end of this transit, hopefully it's beginning to connect the dots. Because Uranus will make its first, leaving of your career sector in July. And then from July to November, it's opening you up to a new, time in your life. And then it comes back to your career sign on November 7th. And then it's there until April of 2026. So really, again, listen for the planets, allow them to talk to you, allow them to reveal something to you, because there's just a lot happening for Leo and Leo's astrology. And just like the container that everything is in right now in your life, it's like the container has been and will continue to really shift, especially as we go into the next few years. Virgo. So Mercury is your planet, and Mercury has just gone into Aquarius. And, I did this whole bit in the introduction about systems, and there's a lot that Aquarius and Virgo have in common. This might be some mental gymnastics, but bear with me. So Virgo is the 6th sign of the zodiac. Virgo's 6th sign, if you count out 6 signs from Virgo, you reach Aquarius. So for those that know a little bit more astrology, like, oh, look at that. Well, that's the thing. Virgo and Aquarius, they have this interconnectivity because they talk about systems. There's the idea of organization and even like technology. Sometimes you can see with people who have strong Virgo tendencies. Anyway, so with this Aquarius new moon, it actually picks up on Virgo themes, like putting things in order, everything having its own place, and or a review of the systems that govern your life. What is a system? Well, on a very surface level, if we're going to talk about what's called the 6th house, your 6th sign, it is the day-to-day things that allow your life to flow. you commute to work, or you have sort of like hopefully food in the kitchen so you can have coffee in the morning or whatever you do, tea, you brush your teeth, like health and wellness systems. And so maybe those systems aren't working anymore. Maybe there needs to be a change, because Pluto is there right now. And that's the thing, that you're at the start of a bigger chapter where the immediate landscape of your life wants to change in some way. You need to change how you take care of your body. You need to change how you eat. You need to change. I mean, everybody, of course, is different, because there's the need to transform, reform, or to completely gut renovate systems. And I realize it's kind of hard to really wrap your head around what that would mean, but maybe you're starting to see what I mean about these shifting systems. So sit with this Aquarius new moon on January 29th, because just like that Sun Pluto conjunction on January 20th, like listen, sense, feel, what is beginning to shift? Is it around health and wellness? Is it around service and helping your community? Is it systems of organization? Is it work? Is it projects? Because it's going to be different for every Virgo. With Mercury now in Aquarius, it will meet up with Pluto on the 29th. And so in a way, because Mercury represents you are meeting Pluto. Mercury conjunct Pluto, at least on a surface level, typically is very sharp, in the sense that like it just gets things, it sees through things. You can't lie to somebody who has a Mercury-Pluto conjunction. They will see right through it. These are your detectives. These are people that are able to get to the bottom of a mystery. But that's a surface level. But sit with what is being revealed to you, what is being shown to you, because that could come through that Mercury conjunct Pluto on the 29th. What else is there? Oh, and then the energy of this new moon is going over towards relationships, because Saturn is in Pisces, your relationship sign. So there might be, we want to talk about systems, because systems do show up in relationships, especially if there's an inequity in a relationship. Like, for example, you give to everybody, but you don't receive. That's a system. How do you put things back in balance? Maybe you need to show up differently in a relationship, show up differently for a partner, or vice versa. Again, see how this is relevant in your own life. Libra. So Venus is your planet, and it's wrapping up its time in Pisces this week. And Venus loves Pisces because Venus is in the sign of its exaltation. So because you are governed by Venus, it's pulling your energy not just over to Pisces, it's pulling your energy over to something called the Six. The past few weeks have been about health, wellness, organization, service, and even commitment. I think it was a week ago we had that Venus-Saturn conjunction. This week, Venus is meeting up with Neptune and the North Node. So remember, the North Node is now also in Pisces. So there's going to be a little bit of a bigger focus on health and wellness, projects, service, helping people as you go into 2026. Yes, you heard me correctly. So just see what are these stories that are beginning to come up, because they may weave their way into different experiences over the next 18 months. Venus conjunct Neptune on its own is very sensitive. It's very ethereal. It like has a big open heart. It wants to help everybody. It wants everybody to feel great. And I know Libra, you sometimes can be a little bit of a people pleaser. So maybe that might be coming out a little bit in full force this weekend. But it's to do it in a way that's a thing. Do it unconditionally. If you can give. Because do it from a place that is endless. Like you can. Love is of course endless, but of course we have to honor our bodies. We have to honor time. Saturn is still in the Six. We can't push ourselves further than we can go, for example. So there might be a need to really see things a little bit differently, set some boundaries if necessary. But Neptune might make your dreams kind of wacky, or your intuition very strong this week. Listen to it. Of course, find your grounding so that you can sort of connect to something greater than yourself. Then there is this Aquarius new moon. It is in something called your fifth sign. Creativity, self-expression, identity. Who are you, Libra? Of course, we are all different people. We have a different name. We have our own different lived experiences. But the beauty of the fifth is that the fifth sign, Aquarius is your fifth sign, is that it helps us to feel who we are, to connect to the things that light us up and give us joy and give us passion. This new moon is a reset, whether it's a reset for the things that you need to actually bring into your life that actually feed you and actually light you up and give you joy and give you passion. If you are burnt out, then this is a new moon to figure out why are you burnt out and to do something about it. If you are a creative person, then this is a new moon to create and have new creative projects. If this is a new moon, if like something is not quite in alignment with who you are, it is to remake the systems that run so that it runs on something that actually matches you, for example. And for some, not everybody, but for some Libras, this is about children and maybe even having children. But of course, that is not going to be relevant for everybody. With this new moon pointing over towards your sixth, there's that sign again. It's about you. It's about projects. It's about showing up. It's about organization. And it's about really, making the time and making the commitment, Libra. Scorpio. So Mars is your planet. It is still retrograde. Now it will be retrograde until February 23rd. That happens every couple of years. Mars turns retrograde. And during that, is it like 5-6 weeks that it's retrograde? And that's not right. I think it's like a couple of months. So it's a December 6th towards February. You do the math for me. February 23rd, Mars is retrograde. Right now, in fact, you can go up in the sky and you can see Mars right now. It's quite bright. But Mars retrograde gives you a time to go back, to reflect, to retrace your steps. If it sounds a little bit like Mercury retrograde, it's because retrogrades are about going back towards something. We typically live our lives, especially in the modern age, do, go. Mars, by its nature, is very instinctual. When it's retrograde, we can't necessarily run on instinct. We need to really be more conscientious and more present with how we're using our Mars. Are we connected to our desires? Do we know what we want? Can we feel what we want? And right now, Mars is in Cancer. It is a very sensitive sign for Mars to be in. It gets into themes about the past and memory and home and family. And maybe because Cancer is something called your ninth sign, how your beliefs about yourself and maybe how they've been shaped by family and the past and memories have maybe shaped your world and not always in the most helpful way. You will have to see how and if that is relevant for you. For some Scorpios, it's about getting your voice out there, teaching something, sharing something, standing behind something, matters of faith, matters of truth, and matters of conviction. That said, this Aquarius new moon is a big one. Why? Because Aquarius forms the base and foundation for your astrology chart. And you've been hearing me talk about this the past year and a half, almost 2 years. Pluto has been going in and out of the space, and now it's in this space for the next 20 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. What does this mean? It's too big to really narrow it down to anything right now, and I think we're still in that listening phase with Pluto. But I feel that when we look back at this time, 2023, 4, and into 5, you will start to see, or you will see some sort of a tectonic shift in your life. Pluto is now in a space that is both about foundation and the past and support, but also, whether that's literal, but also metaphoric. What supports your life? What is in the foundation of your life? What is your relationship with home and family, past and memory? Pluto typically excises. It's like, hey, Scorpio, I'm here to dig out your foundation. But then it's up to you what you put back into that. So anything from the past that's not nourishing you, any past patterns around relationships and family, anything that is, dare I say negative, but just meaning it's not conducive towards life, because Cancer, the sign that typically is the base and foundation of a natural astrology chart, it needs to be nourished. Like you, Scorpio, you need to be nourished. And so Pluto is helping you to clear away anything that's not nourishing anymore. For some Scorpios, that means it's a physical move. For some Scorpio, it's a reprioritization of family and home. For some Scorpios, it is a clearing out and sometimes even creating boundaries with family members that are not supporting you and not nourishing you. Again, we are in the listening phase of what this could mean. And especially with the new moon, especially with the Sun-Pluto conjunction last week, maybe a lot of deep stuff is coming up for you. Maybe with Venus conjunct Neptune this week, it gives you a chance to release, to find compassion, to find forgiveness, if that's even possible, to let something go. So it's not with you. It's not sort of the skeletons of the past. Then there's Uranus turning direct. This is one of the last times Uranus will turn direct in your relationship sign of Taurus. We are coming to the conclusion of a 6 to 7 year chapter about, in some cases, radically transforming the role of relationships in your life. Who has come in and out of your life in the last 6, 7 years? How has relationships changed and evolved? That's the thing about Uranus. It's about awakenings. If you are a Scorpio sun, you have Uranus opposite your sun. So this has been definitely a very interesting ride over the last 6, 7 years. You have needed to change. So here you go. Here's one of your last Uranus direct opposite you. So use this accordingly to, especially with the new moon, to really let go of something of the past. Sagittarius, Jupiter is your planet and it's over in Gemini. You heard me say this every week. And so it continues to be about relationship, both relationship, capital R relationship, but also lowercase r, if I'm doing that backwards, relationship. How do you connect? How do you interact? How do you socialize? This continues to not be a time to isolate. If you are isolating, get out there. Jupiter is in your 7th sign and it will actually turn direct next week. So we'll talk more about this next week. Then there is this new moon. This new moon is in something called your 3rd sign. Voice, communication, how you think and listen and learn, whether that's literally your mind and how you think and your intelligence, whether that's education, how you take time to learn things, to read things, to grow your education. Maybe it's movement in some cases, and maybe it's even choice. This new moon is plus Pluto. Pluto is now in Aquarius. It's been there since November 19th. And for some Sagittariuses, this is a time to really look at the power of voice, the power of communication, and even the power of choice. Like, what are the choices that you are making? Are you making conscious choices or are you making unconscious choices? Because Pluto's real work as an evolutionary planet is consciousness, meaning it's trying to reveal the things that are typically in our blind spots or what we don't want to look at. And Pluto is like, you're going to look at this. So it's going to be different for every Sagittarius rising. It is for some to find the power of your voice, to express your voice, not to be a cover artist in your own life, to really stand behind your words, or even to understand the power of what you're saying and how it's affecting other people. It could even get into a little bit more of an esoteric look at it. Like, your thoughts are powerful. Every thought, every word, every action has an effect, even if you can't see it. So if you're spending 24 hours a day, including sleeping, thinking negative thoughts, of course that's going to weave something that's perhaps not conducive to your life. So you have an opportunity to make a change, to audit how you think and how you listen and how you learn, to change, to bring more consciousness and to bring more light. And for some Sagittarius, it's the start of writing something. It's the start of something about education. It's the start about something sharing. It's to sort of, I think we're still in that. I've been saying this for the other signs, but we're still in that listening phase with Pluto. We don't quite know what Pluto in Aquarius means for us. We're in the early part of the story. So listen, sit with this new moon on the 29th. Mercury is going to be there. Mercury is both a relationship planet for you. It's also a planet that talks about your career. And listen to what your career, your responsibilities, your duties, listen to what's coming towards you. What are the opportunities that are coming in? What are the light bulbs that are going off? How do you see that you need to be making different choices? And that might be one of the ways that this Aquarius new moon is manifesting. I will say, because the energy points over towards the fourth sign of home and family, it might have to do something like with siblings, with family, or maybe the choices that you're making about how you spend time with family, or where you live, or your role in the community, or even time with siblings. It's to see how this is relevant, of course, to you. Capricorn, so Saturn's your planet. Saturn's still in Pisces. I know it'll be there for quite some time. We are getting closer and closer to Saturn's first arrival in Aries, and this will be on May 24th. We got some time before May, although I can't, somehow it's going to be February 1st this week. That said, this continues to be a time about your relationship, whether it's education, taking more classes, your voice, how you are using your voice, how you're communicating, the choices that you're making. Are you making conscious choices, or do you just make choices on the fly? But I'm a Capricorn, like I'm always doing, but that's the thing. We have to not sort of use the sort of astrology tropes. It's just like, this is a time for you to reveal something, for you to think about things differently, to consult more your intuition, to maybe not do the things that are expected of you because they just don't work for your life. Pisces wants the Capricorn structures to be filled with something that has deeper meaning and purpose. So this continues to be a time to focus on deeper meaning and purpose in your life. This week, we have Venus and Neptune conjunct. Venus is one of your career planets. Not one of it is. It is a career planet. It is a planet that talks about the direction that you take your life in, your relationship with duties and responsibilities. So with the conjunction to Neptune, I think with Saturn nearby too, this weekend, how does it become a reframe or a reprioritization of what really truly matters in your life? Because Capricorn is really good at following the script. It's really good at being like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. But that's the thing where you have like Neptune involved. Neptune doesn't sort of care that is what you're supposed to be doing. It's like, but you're not fulfilling something. You're not connecting to something. And for some Capricorns, it might be bringing up a lot of emotion this week. That said, Aquarius new moon is your second sign of money and income. So on some level, we all need some sort of resource. We need a roof over our head. We need some sort of money or currency or resource at our disposal, God willing. We need, food. If I said that already, we need food. And so this new moon might get to that level of basics. What do you need? How are you focusing on your material life? Whether this is a new moon and a lunar month that's about investments and buying things and property and assets, money and income, or whether this is a new moon that kind of gets into more philosophical questions like, do I need to buy this? Do I need to invest in this? Is this truly something that's of importance to me? And again, that gets into that whole sort of reprioritization that I think might be feeding its way with that Neptune-Venus on the North Node conjunction this week. I've been saying this to the other signs. This new moon makes it like it's a wide conjunction, but it brings the energy of Pluto and Aquarius with us for the next 4 weeks. We are still in the listening phase for Pluto and Aquarius. We don't quite know yet. I don't know, maybe you do. Get back to me. We don't quite know yet, like a sharp lens of what Pluto and Aquarius means for this part of our life. In your case, it's, just on a thematic level, it's money, it's income, material stability, and resources. That's going to mean different things to different Capricorns, whether it is to have wealth, whether it is to define your relationship with wealth and what wealth is, whether that is a change in your material status. I don't know, maybe you want to earn a living differently. Not sure. But it's to listen, because especially with Mercury there and the new moon, we're starting to be shown especially because Pluto's role is to reveal the unconscious. And this might be a revelation about, what's truly motivating you to do certain things, to choose certain things, to choose things about your future. Maybe it's not coming from you. Maybe it's a parental need, maybe it's an ancestral need and want. Again, it's just to continue to be in this listening phase. Aquarius, happy birthday, Aquarius. I grew up with 2 Aquariuses in the household, so it's a sign I know very well. Aquarius, having a new moon, especially if your birthday is the 29th, plus or minus a couple of days, it means that you have the energies of new beginnings and a sense of renewal that bring you throughout the next 12 months. That said, regardless of when your birthday is within the Aquarius season, or even if you're Aquarius rising, this new moon gives a reset and a reframe, and it brings you into the energies of Pluto and Aquarius. So we have been talking about this for quite some time, and just for those that don't know or don't remember, Pluto is now in Aquarius. Pluto moves so slowly that it took 16 years to cross the sign of Capricorn and to make its first arrival into Aquarius, which that was in March of 2023. As of November 19th of 2024, Pluto is in Aquarius. It's like Pluto has crossed the front doorstep of your life, and Pluto's like, oh, hey, it's me. I'm here to ... because it's going to be unique for each person. Pluto typically wants to, dare I say, tearing things down that just aren't working. And I know some Aquarius rising clients that might be listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And Pluto, by and large, is about evolution and transformation. It's also about looking at the unconscious. So Pluto is trying to show you something that it's not working, or something that needs to be transformed, or something that needs to be used to rebuild or to transform your life. We're still in the listening phase, and I've been saying this with the other signs. We're still in the listening phase of Pluto in Aquarius. It's too soon to really know what this is going to mean for you. Maybe you already see the tectonic shift, because it really is a tectonic shift. It could be subtle, it could be not subtle, and it's been putting you in a new chapter, a new era, a new phase of your life since 2023, because Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Sun-Pluto conjunction on the 20th last week, that was our first conjunction in a series of conjunctions that will take us the next 18 years. I realize that's a long amount of time, but be present with what's coming up for you. Be present, be listening, use your senses, use your intuition of what is Pluto trying to show you in this phase and chapter of your life. This new moon also points over towards Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is your planet, so the energy of the new moon goes over towards Pisces. And for some Aquariuses, it is about money, income, material stability, and security. It could be literally about how you're spending money, what you're spending your money on. It could be about these bigger questions about value and worth and the resources that you have at your disposal. It could be something more philosophical, like, is this really truly have value? And for some Aquariuses, it may even be about self-worth and value. On some level, a new moon in your sign or your rising sign is an initiation. It is a taking action. It is a moving forward, a new chapter that takes you into the new year. With that in mind, new personal year. With that in mind, I think with Saturn and Pisces is to be very conscientious, very intentional, and very mature about the things that you are bringing forward with you into this new phase, a new chapter of your life. Pisces. So Jupiter's your planet, and Jupiter continues to be in your 4th sign of Gemini, where it has been since last May. This continues to be a time in your life that prioritizes home and family. Those two topics mean different things to different people. And I realize sometimes, and for a lot of people, it touches on something, sometimes something a little bit tender. Look back over the last, 7 months. What has really been the focus around home and family in this previous period? Whether you have moved, whether you've needed to reprioritize, whether it's been more of not an external move, it's an internal move. You want to fill your life with something that has more meaning and purpose. Then there's Saturn. You've heard me say this. Saturn continues to be in Pisces, whether that's your sun sign, whether that's your rising sign, the bar continues to be set higher for you, Pisces. That said, with an Aquarius new moon, Aquarius is something called your 12th sign. It is the last sign in your personal zodiac calendar. This is the solar month and even lunar month that takes you before your birthday. So this is a time for you to go into the 12th. The 12th means that you are in a 4-week period to go within, to reflect, to reevaluate, like what worked for you over the previous 11 months, what didn't work for you, to integrate your experiences, to listen to your intuition, to nourish your spirituality, and prepare for that Pisces new moon. That will be, I think it's like the 26th or 5th of February. We got some time. But this period, in a weird way, it's like one foot is in something new, because the energy of the new moon points over towards Saturn and Pisces, your sign. So on one hand, it's like you're straddling, letting something go, leaving something behind, and resting. On one hand, you need to stand in something. Typically, when the energy of Saturn in the first is activated, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. Sort of the responsibility is on you. So you might be feeling like you're straddling 2 different worlds, 2 different chapters. It's a big time to be a Pisces, especially as we get closer towards Pisces season, your birthday, and we will have a lunar eclipse on March 14th. It will be a dynamic year for you, Pisces. So there you go. That is your look at the astrology of this week. Goodness, what day is it? What year is it? Who am I? It is January 27th through February 2nd, 2025. Again, my name is Katie Sweetman. Thank you for watching. You can follow me online at empoweringastrology.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Spotify. I hope that you can join me for this free presentation that I'm doing on Wednesday. It's on energetic sciences, subtle energies, consciousness, and the weft, which is the 6th element, which is support for life and communication. And then I'm going to do a weekend intensive February 8th and 9th. I also hope you can join me. Link is in the show notes, or you can go to my website, empoweringastrology.com, to learn more, ask me questions, and hope to see you there. So have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.